24 governors call on Congress to pass cannabis banking reform. We've got study results, and there's good news and bad news to report. Our chief health and wellness correspondent, Faye Mitchell, is here to talk about that. And Jay, along with some celebrity news, has a new Canna quiz to test your knowledge. So we're going to be looking forward to that. But first, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome all of you to another fine episode of VoteProPot-Cast. We've been getting a lot of good response from folks lately, and we really do appreciate it. We're here for you, and you're here for us, and we thank you for it.
We've been kind of slacking lately, though.
Well, you know, holidays and shit coming up, but we are still going full force, and we're glad to have you all with us. And first up on the docket, I would like to talk about what's going on in the Commonwealth of Virginia, our neighbors across the Potomac.
Hey-yo!
Which includes Jay. What a lot of people were worried about was now that the Virginia State House, Executive Mansion, and House of Delegates, and I think the Virginia Senate as well, have gone over to Republican control, are worried about what does that mean for cannabis legal reform. Well, actually, there's several schools of thoughts on this, but I'm here to report that it's not bad news. The change of leadership will not necessarily mean the end of retail sales in the Commonwealth. In fact, members of the new Republican majority in the House of Delegates are actually considering speeding up the timeline for recreational sales. Right now, it's set at 2024, and why? Yeah. I don't know if we've talked about this, but it makes no damn sense. No. There was for those of you who have forgotten or didn't know, adult use legalization went into effect in Virginia on July 1st of this year, correct?
Well, yes, legalization.
Yes. And that allows for the possession of, among other things, of up to 1 ounce of cannabis for adults 21 and older. What it didn't do was legalize the buying and the selling of cannabis and cannabis products, which is...
It didn't establish regulations to set up a retail sales system.
Market, right.
And that's what's supposed to wait till 2024.
But that's what's taken, that's what's going to take, 3 years to do?
It's still illegal to buy and sell cannabis.
But you can give it away.
For recreational use.
Yeah. For recreation.
Right.
I'll sell you my pencil for $45.
And I'll give you an ounce. I'll give you an ounce for free.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, but there's a certain amount of confusion and chaos because of that. The incoming Republican House leader, Todd Gilbert, I think his name is, said, quote, "We need to fix that, or all we'll have is a black market." Now, that's exactly right. I mean, you look at what's going on in some states where, and it's this idea that people seem to think that making marijuana illegal is going to prevent anyone from having it and using it. It's the biggest joke in the world. And this Todd Gilbert is recognizing the fact that people are going to get it, they're going to buy it, they're going to sell it. They're just going to do it illegally unless we legalize it.
Well, that's what happened with alcohol, right?
Exactly. No tax revenue, less safe,
Right. No one's going to be testing it for, alcohol,
for purity or any of that stuff, yeah.
I'm looking at an article here, Phil, that was in Marijuana Moment yesterday. I think it was with Ben Alden. He wrote the article. But he quotes our friend Jen Michelle Padini. Remember Jen? She's been on our show. Yep. And she is the executive director of Virginia NORML, and she also is she's got some big title at NORML as well. So she's the one you see on TV all the time regarding Virginia. Well, this is what she said. She said, quote, "The question isn't legalization. We've already enacted that. Now we have the other side of the legalization equation. And that is we haven't enacted the other major policy components, which are consumer safety and public safety, as well as implementing the regulatory structure." So it's exactly what you're saying right here. The Democrats are worried. I don't think they're as worried that the GOP's not going to move forward with it. I think they're more worried about their cause celeb in the system, which is social equity, and all the things that are involved with that. Right. And so that is an issue,
That is what's really on the table here with the new Republican majority is the social equity question, and specifically the setting up of retail set-asides for
certain
minorities
and certain districts and areas. Yeah.
This is not an area that Republicans feel
there's also
needs that sort of thing, and the Democrats feel they do.
Yeah.
So that's where the line of contention is.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, I'm a Virginian. I want to see it move forward, and I think it will. I'm not worried about it. The nuances and the little details may be different, but hey, if the Republicans are into moving it forward closer than 2024, man, I'm on board because that's ridiculous. Why does it take 3 freaking years?
And I'm on board with anything that helps expand entrepreneurship to minority communities. Get them in the business world. That's where they're going to lift. That's how people lift themselves up is in business, and so anything that's conducive to that, I'm for.
All right, I got some celebrity news, guys, lady.
Andrew is excited about the celebrity news.
I know,
Can't
me
see?
and my celebrity shit.
Hey, do me a favor. Could you wake me up when it's over?
Yeah, he lies awake wondering what celebrities think. And
well, if you're from Maryland, the term "guys" refers to
everybody.
People.
That's right. But I didn't want to be non-inclusive.
Sorry about that.
I'm cool. Yeah.
I'm looking at this thing. I don't know if you saw it. It came out today or yesterday with Seth Rogen. He's pushing this thing, and I can't get my computer.
I like Seth Rogen.
Yeah, I do too. And he has a cannabis company now. But the cool thing is he's got this website called Cannabis in Common. And his point to this is that we need to reach out to our legislators. This is something we've pushed here for 3.5 years. Right. Reach out to your legislators and get this done. Let's move forward with this. Everybody wants it, but if you really want to, get off your ass and make something happen. So here's a clip of what he published today.
Hi, I'm Seth Rogen, and despite what you may have heard, Americans can actually agree on something, and that something is weed. Recent polls show that more than 2/3 of us now want to legalize cannabis. You know who cannot agree on anything, though? Politicians. So despite the fact that 69% of us want cannabis legal, less than half of senators have come out in favor of it. In fact, some won't even say where they stand on the issue at all. With the Senate about to consider a landmark bill that would legalize cannabis at the federal level and wipe cannabis convictions from thousands of people's records, their silence could end up being the difference. But here's the thing about elected officials. They actually spend most of their time worrying about getting reelected. So when their inboxes and their phone lines are blowing up with constituents all rallying behind something specific, that is when things actually start to happen. Here's what I'm asking for you to do. Go to cannabisincommon.org now and let your elected officials know that legalizing cannabis is an extremely popular thing that they should advocate for. Legalizing cannabis for good is long past due, but if we make enough noise, we can make it happen. Visit cannabisincommon.org to email or call your elected officials. The American people have cannabis in common. It's time for Congress to join us.
So what Seth is doing is he's making it easier for regular folks to go figure out. Most people go, how the fuck do I get a hold of my senator? I don't know how to do that. Go to cannabisincommon.org and he shows you the website shows you how to get to your congressperson.
I'll tell you who else makes it easier. VoteProPot.com. Hello.
We've been doing that for
3.5 years. So I think it's a great thing, though. We can't have too many of them. Normal does it, and MPP does it, and VoteProPot-Cast does it. Everybody should have some kind of access to get into the faces of their elected officials. And frankly, after listening to what Seth just said, I think we can fold up our tents, boys. We're done. He covered the whole 3.5 years of VoteProPot-Cast. He just covered it.
Check it out.
Bam.
Done. Thank you very much, Seth.
Okay, so 24 governors have gotten together and sent, of course, letters to Congress to pass the new banking bill, which is desperately needed. So, okay, so 24 senators, including Washington, D.C. and Guam. Got to include the districts there and the Virgin Islands. So let's not forget them. So, yeah, it's all about the Fair Banking Act. And I mean, like we were saying earlier, this is people on both sides of the aisle. So I think it's about time. And I don't know, Schumer and Pelosi, I mean, they're sort of in the, leading this. So I don't know. I don't know. What do you think, guys?
Well, I think Schumer and Booker and Wyden, the three ones who are pushing their comprehensive weed reform bill, they're the ones who are standing in the way of the Safe Banking Act being enacted. Not that they don't want it to be enacted, but they have they put a higher priority on the comprehensive bill, and their fear is that passing the banking reform will kind of take the wind out of their sails and reduce the urgency for a comprehensive bill. So they're pushing that off to the back burner, and but that doesn't change the fact that it's needed right now.
But if they legalize on the federal level, that automatically,
that's. Well, I understand their point.
That will take care of it. Yes,
take care of it. We no need for the Banking Act.
They're saying, why do we need to take a baby step now? Let's just get it done. Let's do the whole thing.
I agree. One good thing, because even as little as 4 years ago, the only people that were screaming for legalization were people like us. You were hearing very few politicians.
That's true.
And now,
absolutely.
God, now it's
everybody's jumping on the bandwagon.
In some places, it's like sort of up there in some of the big issues.
Yeah. It's because do you think maybe politicians read polls? Maybe that has something to do with it,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And they're going,
69% of people think
70% of my constituents want to legalize. And we did that.
And in some areas, it's more than that.
It's higher. Yeah. And we did that story last week on 50% of the people surveyed in this real estate survey, Redfin, 50% said they wouldn't move somewhere where weed was illegal.
They would not.
50%. That's half of the population would not.
So in other words, if you live in a legal state, your real estate has a little more value.
That's right. And we did a story on that a few weeks ago, too, on how the home values have gone up in areas where it's legal.
Well, but one of the things with these politicians these days is that they like dig in their heels. And it's like, if you're not going to give me the whole thing, then I'm not going to do it. But you know what? Do some of it, and then the next will follow.
But
that's always been the Republicans' problem. The Republicans never want to settle for half a loaf, and they get thwarted and they won't take little victories where they can get them. And they underachieve. The Democrats are always in favor of getting that little bit now and going for the rest later. Their problem is they often overreach.
Right.
But I think that's true. But I think Pelosi and Schumer feel now that they're so close to getting a comprehensive package done that this might kick that can down the road. If they just do the banking.
Or make it an unnecessary.
Or make it, yeah. Some people won't vote for the comprehensive because they say, well, we already got the banking thing. We're good now. Let's leave it be.
Leave it
so
alone.
I understand where they're coming from. And I get that.
So, as many of you probably know, our friend Faye is in a master's program at the University of Maryland related to cannabis. And Faye, you were involved in a study?
No. So here's how it goes. One of our projects as a student, it's our capstone project. In order to graduate from this program, is we've been grouped into groups of 5, and we have to come up with some sort of educational gap in the cannabis world that we can find what this gap is, and then create a program, an educational program within that gap. Okay. So I'm asking our listeners to fill out a survey. And this survey is going to help my group sort of find out where this gap is. And our gap is about edibles. So if you are a person who consumes edibles, you can be in any state. It doesn't matter where you live. We would love you, and we're going to put the link on the Vote Pro Pot Facebook page, and we'll put it in the notes. We do have a deadline of November 17th, so that'll probably, you have a day to do it. So,
but it only takes a couple minutes, so it's not a problem.
Really quick. You do it on your like iPhone, and you're just like do. It's yes and no questions, and so we're going to use that information from our survey to create an educational program. That's all I can tell you right now.
Awesome.
And I will come back and tell you more about it when I have more information, or when I'm allowed to tell you more about it.
And it's anonymous as well, right?
Oh, completely anonymous.
Right, completely anonymous, and remember, folks, Faye's grade depends on it.
Please, yes. No, I have an awesome group where we're rocking it, and so it's a lot of fun, and we've been getting good response to the survey. So please help us out.
Like I said, we'll put a link in the show notes to the survey, and we'll put it on our Facebook page and all that crap. And please go on and fill it out for Faye and help her out. The University of Maryland program for master's program.
Much appreciated. Apparently we will be, when I'm done with this, the most educated people within the cannabis field in the country.
Go Terps.
Well, that's awesome. Go Terps.
Yep. Go Terps.
So Jay, how's your crop doing?
My crop's doing great.
Jay inherited some weed plants, and
I did. And
are you harvesting them at all?
I just harvested the second batch, which is one big plant, about 4 or 5 days ago, and it's smelling delicious in my garage.
How much did one plant yield?
The first one probably yielded 2.5 ounces, something like that.
And where are you drying it? Where do you have it drying?
Well, I'm drying it in the tent for about 4 or 5 days. And then I put it in jars, do the jar thing. Let it sit in the jar.
And cure it.
So a couple of ounces of bud?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Trimmed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it smells great. The first batch was pretty strong.
Have you tried any? Have you tried juicing any?
Oh, no. No, I haven't done anything.
Any fresh plant?
All I've done is...
Now, he could just take the leaves and shit for that, right?
Well, yeah.
You could, yeah.
You could.
I didn't really...
It's still have compounds in there, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even save any of that stuff. I just, trimmed it all, and that's time-consuming. I guess because I don't know what I'm doing, but damn, it takes...
So
there's a lot of bulk material. You've got to process it to get very little.
Yeah, but man, it's some sticky stuff, man. I put my hands on it, and I'm like,
all right.
It's like,
That's the good stuff.
Speaking of home grow, there's a lot of major cannabis companies that are opposing home grow. And in states where they're writing up the regulations, they are lobbying to make it illegal to grow at home.
That's hard to believe.
Well,
do they really think it's going to
dumb.
impact their business, Andrew? Is that the reason?
That's the thing that I believe. I don't think it really will.
No,
Neither do
how can
I.
it?
No.
Because, Jay, how many vape carts are you going to make from your harvest?
Right. Never, none, zero, nope.
Right. And even since you've harvested those, have you gone to any legal dispensaries in Virginia?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't change the amount of weed that I buy at all. This is just for fun.
It's kind of for fun. I was just going to say, it's for fun.
It's like growing tomatoes or cucumbers or something, man. It's fun.
I still go to the grocery store.
And I don't know what I'm doing. I'm the guy who watches the videos on YouTube and figures it out. And, it's pretty good, but it's not like...
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. No, but it's not like the stuff we go out and buy in the dispensaries.
I read somewhere that people who grow cannabis, it takes them years to perfect the skills.
I'm sure that's true, Andrew. I'm sure.
All the little nuances of how to do it. I mean, because you could read a book and go, oh, this is what I have to do. But then to actually do it with that live plant, man, it's
well, that makes
very
sense.
difficult.
It's taken me 3 years just to grow peppers.
I was going to say, I have the same problem in my garden. Every year my tomatoes suck.
Absolutely. No,
it's not as easy as it sounds.
No, people think it's simple, and it really is. Growing weed is one of the more difficult things because, you don't have to cure tomatoes and cucumbers. You
just pick them.
Right.
I tell you what, if you just pick weed and smoke, it sucks. The curing is the secret. And that's what makes weed so good. The good weed, what separates pardon me, Faye, the men from the boys when it comes to weed is the curing. I believe that now that I've tried it.
But nothing is going to cure well unless you have the right genes to begin with. unless you have the right strain.
Plant to start.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So strain and curing.
Right. And if you think you can pick a seed out of a bag of good weed and that's
Not
going to grow good weed, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're
yeah.
wrong.
Correct.
Because
Yeah.
we don't know we don't know what fathered that plant.
No idea what it is.
It's quite a complicated process.
So the company, the cannabis verticals are worried that this is going to eat into their
Market
the
share?
profits.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, into their profits. Yeah.
I don't see that.
I don't think they
well,
have to
if
worry
people are
about
growing
that.
it, they're not going to be buying it. That's
I think once again you can draw a parallel with the alcohol industry.
I think
People have been legally brewing their own beer and making their own wine for 30, 40 years now, and the
doesn't stop you from going
companies
out
are
and
doing
buying it.
just fine.
Exactly.
Well, there's another thing.
Phil, that's the perfect analogy. Yep.
I've noticed. I know. I went to the dispensary and I discovered this strain, Ray Charles, and I really liked it. And every time I've been back, they've never had it.
That's
So
a high
one of the
CBD.
things, right? One of the things is because of this market, there's certain strains. So if you find something you like and you can grow it yourself, you can guarantee you're going to have it because you're not going to have.
that's
you can't
true.
It's no guarantees it's going to be at any dispensary, let alone.
But
Right.
even then,
One of
Andrew,
them.
there's no guarantee that if you grow some Ray Charles, it's going to be as good. It's going to be, if you don't
It's going
cure
to be
it,
completely different.
it can be completely different. You know,
Well,
even if you have
if it's the same genes, it's going to be a good chance it's going to be close.
similar. But
Right.
but like I
Close.
said, that it's like making wine. That that
Right.
curing part of it is
Right.
is what gives it that flavor. And whether or not you have the terpenes the way you want them is how you cure it. It
And
just
every
makes
batch
such a
is different. It starts.
Every batch, yeah.
It's basically from seed to smoke, or
Yes.
whatever else you're going to do with it, from seed to processing.
Well, I
Right.
always wondered how you do that with wine. I mean, not to get off on a tangent, but you find a bottle of wine you like or that you enjoy, and they year after year after year they make that wine and it tastes the same. That's what the professional growers are able to do with strains.
That's right.
with weed.
But
I'm not
have
able
you
to
had
do that.
homemade wine?
Yeah, it's
I've had
gross.
homemade wine. The best homemade wine I ever had was
Gross. No,
Exactly.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
yeah, some of it was just pure piss. I'm not
Yeah.
drinking that.
Right.
Yeah.
And the weed that I've grown, it's fun and I enjoy it. But you know what? I wouldn't put this up against anything that you can buy in the dispensary in terms
Right,
of quality.
But
it's
like
just not going to
states
happen.
like Maryland right now, where they're putting together the regulations, we got to make sure that home grow is
That
included.
home grow is in there. Yeah.
So
Yes.
I mean, you might live in a medical state and you don't have recreational now. That's the time where you got to call your legislators and keep
Right.
your ears keep your ears open to see what's going to happen because
Yep.
man, to make it illegal for home grow, it's just it's not
fun.
legal. Then it's still
It's really
illegal.
not legal.
It's
You're
still
right,
illegal.
Andrew. I got to say, it's
Exactly.
really not legal if you can't grow it yourself.
There's a small subset of the population who can't afford to go to the dispensary, and why
True.
shouldn't they
True.
grow their own for their medicine?
Good point, Faye.
Or they
Yeah.
can't make it to, or they live too far
Yeah.
away.
Or they live too
Exactly.
far away.
And
Yeah.
and one other point I'd like to bring up is that this is fucking America.
God,
All right.
no kidding.
Right.
You should be able
It's
to
a
grow a
plant.
plant if you want to.
It's a
Damn it.
Thomas Jefferson.
It just pisses me off that there are people in the state house and in Washington who are telling me that this is not good. You can't do it.
Yeah,
Fuck
right.
you.
Well, especially when Andrew's point that when the businesses get involved and say, make sure
Right.
you write legislation that doesn't allow people to do this because it might cut into our market share. Fuck
They're
yeah.
barking
sorry.
up. They're barking up the wrong tree.
Wrong
They
tree.
need to spend their time on something else.
We talk about this periodically. Every couple of months, we do a story on it. Breathalyzers for THC. One of the reasons that a lot of, especially Republican politicians in certain states, don't want to sign off on legalization is because they say there's no way to test it. They're worried about the driving. Well,
Right.
there's some new research out here for a new breathalyzer, and they did a study. They did a study on THC in people. And they tested like 50 people who smoked and 50 people who didn't smoke. And the thing was perfect. Got it right within an hour. It measures, how much THC is in your bloodstream. And 3 hours later, it picked up nothing. So obviously a lot of people are investing in this company. So this was in 420 Intel. It says the researchers also used the test to monitor how marijuana users' THC levels changed over time. Overall, THC in saliva declined fairly quickly after people smoked the drug. Through 6 hours, though 6 hours later, those levels remained above 1 nanogram per milligram, whatever ng over ml is. That's the cutoff. That's the cutoff recommended by the European Driver Association. So 6 hours after using it, it didn't pick up.
It didn't register.
Yeah. So there you go. We might have.
What about vapes or edibles?
Well, and I was just going to say edibles.
Good point.
They metabolize to a completely different substance.
Exactly.
So
I don't know how that works.
It's too complicated.
You guys are fucking up my story, man.
No, it's a good story, but that's the complication of it all.
Exactly.
Remember the urban myth that if you ate peanut butter right before you took a breathalyzer,
oh yeah,
you wouldn't.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, which I don't know if that's true or not.
Or a Mentos.
It sounds like bullshit, really. But
yeah, it's bullshit.
Faye, what do you got?
Okay, well, so what I was going to talk about is we're all pro cannabis, and we're trying to do research, we're trying to do studies, but you know what? Every once in a while, a study comes back and says, doesn't help. So I got this out of Project CBD, and they did some research with PTSD in veterans. And
post-traumatic stress disorder.
Post-traumatic stress disorder, which
and today's Veterans Day.
We're recording on Veterans Day. Today is Veterans Day.
That's true. Good point.
So thank you for your service. It was the first randomized controlled placebo trial. And for anybody who's a science geek, that's the gold standard in research.
Right.
Anyway, so this recent paper, and the funny thing is it was done by a guy named Rick Doblin, and he's from the organization Medical Association for Psychedelic Studies. MAPS, and they tested 3 types of cannabis: THC dominant, CBD dominant, and 1-to-1 dominant, and none of them were better than a placebo.
Ooh.
The good news, though, that came out of this study is that that people were really pro cannabis for this issue, and MAPS received $13 million from the state of Michigan for a phase 2 clinical trial involving, I love this, 320 veterans. I don't know why they didn't make it 420 veterans.
Yeah, really.
Anyway,
come on.
To study this.
Well, does 13 million buy a lot of research?
I mean, research is really expensive. That's
Yeah.
why we don't have research, because it has to start with animal trials, and it goes to clinical trials, and it's this whole big. That's why pharmaceuticals cost so much.
So anyway, so long.
That's the good news. Another study showed with CBD and arthritis. It was in Denmark, and again, it was a randomized controlled trial, but they found that this CBD isolate did not help. Ooh. And only 22% felt pain relief, and 21% with the placebo, felt pain relief. However,
okay, so this is in pain relief, not in post-traumatic stress disorder.
This is back to pain relief.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. It was a CBD isolate, and we all know that the entourage effect is very important, and that if we add just a little bit of THC to that CBD, it's going to be more effective. That's number one. And number two, they use 20 to 30 grams of CBD, and that might be too low of a dose. Because when you're only dosing with THC, the doses are way higher than if you add a little bit of THC. You can use
if you're
much
only
smaller,
dosing with CBD, you mean?
I'm sorry. Wait, if you're only dosing with CBD,
gotcha.
You need a lot more. So again, this is leading them to study it further. So it's okay to find these null or these bad studies, because it's going to lead us on to do some better studies.
Well, I think we've reported on quite a few of these recently. And as we have more and more studies happening and more and more research going on, some of this stuff's being debunked. Some of it's being, supported.
And,
but at least we're finding out.
No one should ever delude themselves into thinking that cannabis is some kind of panacea or wonder drug, or that there are no risks involved.
Absolutely.
No one should ever, kid themselves about that. But there's just a lot to know. And, thank you, Faye, for your expansive cannabis knowledge on this.
The more you research, the more you need to research, basically.
And listen, I just need to throw something in here. While we're talking about research, today is Raphael McCullum. Am I pronouncing that? Remember? It's his 90.
Mishulam.
Okay, thank you, Faye. It's his 91st birthday, so we need
Happy birthday.
to send a shout out to
Rafa.
the great doctor,
He's
because
the father of cannabis.
he
He's
has
the man.
changed the world
He discovered THC.
with regard to
Yeah.
he discovered.
He discovered the endocannabinoid system too.
He did.
You can ask doctors about the end, and they don't know anything.
They don't know, right?
No.
Yeah, he's the Isaac Newton.
Yeah, exactly.
cannabis.
Exactly.
The
Well-
Albert Einstein.
Yeah, really. A bud fell on his head.
Based on that knowledge and our collective knowledge, if there was a way, Jay, to test our knowledge about general cannabis things.
I've got a little quiz here for you guys, and I'm going to keep
quiz?
track.
Not another quiz. That's
Is
all
this
I
going
do.
to affect your grade, Faye?
I know. I hope not, because I've been doing a lot of quizzes lately.
Well, get set for another one.
Yet another canna quiz. This is going to be quick. It's just 4 questions. Are you ready?
It's
All right,
really-
here
Don't
we
make
go.
it sound like a chore, Jay.
First question. Speaking of the subject we just passed on, how many cannabinoids are there? A is 150, B is 250, C is 375, and D is 480. Drew, what's your answer?
A.
You say A, 150. Okay. Phil?
I'm going to go with A also. I think
150.
150 sounds
Okay,
right
all
to
right.
me.
And
Faye,
I'm-
now you're the doctor here, so
Yeah, you
I'm
know
also
this
going to
stuff.
go with A, because everything that I read, every single paper says we know that there are more than 100 compounds.
Well, that is exactly right. But here's the answer. Are you ready for this? In recent years, scientists have discovered over 480 different cannabinoids.
Really?
Not all of them have
Wow.
any impact on humans or do anything, but these are
these are
the
cannabinoids.
Cannabinoids, period, or
Cannabinoids.
cannabinoids in marijuana?
Okay. So
in
these are,
marijuana.
I was going to say, these are exogenous cannabinoids, those that are from the plant, not endocannabinoids, which are within our system.
Oh,
Right.
make us look stupid, Faye. Thank you.
Yeah, exogenous.
All
Hey, I
right.
got to show off my
What does exogenous
You're
mean?
exogenous.
Isn't that a man who hates women? Oh, no, that's misogynist.
All right. Question number 2. What year did Alaska legalize cannabis for personal use? Was it A, 2004? Was it B, 1999? Was it C, 1984? Or was it D, 1975? What year did Alaska legalize cannabis for personal use?
Ooh, that's a toughie.
Phil, you go first this time.
I'll go first this time. I'm going to say, was it 1984?
I got A is 2004, B is 1999, C is 1984, and D
84.
is 1975. So you're going to go C. Phil has C. All right. Faye?
I'm going with C as well, but you guys know a lot more about regulations than I do.
C.
Yeah, I
Okay,
don't know.
Drew.
1975.
He sounds pretty confident there because he's right. It's 1975. Alaska legalized in 1975. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So we should have lived in Alaska when we were in high
I
school.
know.
How come we
That's
never
right.
heard about this?
It's legal to grow your own weed in
Now,
Alaska.
was that
back then.
repealed at some point?
Yes, it
It
was,
was
repealed.
for a while,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh,
And
okay.
Then it came back. So, third question. We only have 2 more. Third question. Name the country in which cannabis is completely legal and is not even classified as a drug. Is it A, Cuba? Is it B, North Korea? Is it C, Russia? Or is it D, China?
Faye, you
Phil,
go first.
you go
this time.
first.
No,
I
I went first last time. Faye,
Okay,
go first.
Faye.
I'm just going to say,
These are hard, right?
yeah, these are hard.
right?
These are hard.
That master's degree is bullshit. This is hard.
Exactly. We didn't learn that in school. I'm just going to say Cuba, even though I want to say
Okay.
Russia.
Cuba.
I don't know.
Faye's going with Cuba.
Huber.
Phil?
I'm going to say, based on the fact that the oldest living person that has ever been found with weed is like 4,000 or 10,000 years ago
Yeah, right,
in
5,000.
China, I'm going to say China.
Phil goes with China. Drew, what's your answer, big guy?
Canada.
Like one of the answers. Fucking veg.
No, come on, guys. It's North Korea.
Yeah.
North Korea? Is it North
Andrew
Korea?
says North Korea.
All right.
And guess what? Andrew's right again.
Oh,
God.
man.
Andrew, you're crushing
2 to
it, bro.
0 to 0.
Who won that game?
He does know his weed, doesn't he?
Well, I mean,
Who won this game? Who won this game?
you've clinched it already.
I like these
with
games. We should do it
with
more
one
often.
question to go, you've clinched
Andrew's
it.
the founder of Vote Pro Pot, so
I was just going to say that, Faye.
That's right.
Yep, he's the founder.
And indeed, he does know.
Oh, there's
it.
one
All right,
more?
What's the
Okay,
last
there's one
question?
more? Last one.
Last question.
That's the bonus question. This is worth 10 points.
This is worth 20 points, yeah. Winner take all. Which famous musician was laid to rest with these 3 items? His favorite guitar, a Bible, which was open to Psalm 23, and a cannabis bud. Was it A, Bob Marley? Was it B, Jimi Hendrix? Was it C, Kurt Cobain? Or was it D, Dwayne Allman? Andrew, you're first this time.
I'm going to say Dwayne Allman.
Okay, Dwayne Allman. Andrew says D. Phil, you're next.
He had a Bible open to Psalm 23.
That's correct.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
Exactly.
A bud. And what else? His favorite guitar.
His favorite guitar. Bob Marley, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, or Dwayne Allman?
Marley.
Okay. Marley, he says, which is
No, I'm taking that back. We couldn't be Marley. Couldn't be Marley.
Marley's very obvious.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
But-
I'm going to say, no, I'll go with Marley.
Faye, your last. What's up?
I'll just say Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain, which is C. The answer is, little drum roll action there. Bob Marley was buried with his red Gibson guitar, a Bible open to Psalm 23, and a cannabis bud. For those of you who aren't familiar with Scripture,
it's surprising a Bible that because he's Rastafari.
I know. I was surprised at that too. But here's the Psalm 23. It says, "The Lord is my shepherd; I lack nothing," which Phil said. But then it goes on to say, "He makes me lie down in green pastures." There's your quiz, and Andrew is the big winner again. Hey, Andrew, way to go, big guy.
Well, I got the 20-pointer.
Well, can I just say that I'm getting A's in my classes?
They don't teach you about Bob Marley in the University of Maryland, do they?
This class doesn't count.
Interestingly enough, we're not allowed to even talk about recreational use. We're only allowed to talk about that. Yeah, not at all. Not allowed to talk about it.
Folks, we've given you an extra bonus episode, but we are running pretty long this time, so I hope those of you who have managed to stick around for the whole thing, we're certainly glad you did. If you like the show, please do us a favor, go on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating, maybe say something nice in the review. Go on to VoteProPot.com, find out who to contact to get your views acted upon by the Senate, by the House of Representatives, by the State House. Jay, what else can they do?
Send us an email at podcast@votepropot.com. We have a message line at 240-257-2441 for ideas and information. Also, I would say this. We have a YouTube page, which nobody checks out because everyone listens to our audio through, Stitcher and Apple and all that. But the thing that's cool about YouTube, if you go to YouTube, you can leave a comment and you can get a conversation going. So do that too. You can just do a search for Vote Pro Pot on YouTube.
Right.
Drew, what do you got, big guy?
As we get to so much stuff, we can't get to it all on our podcast. So we share a lot on social networking. So go to YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and what was the other one?
And LinkedIn.
Just go to all of them and do a search for Vote Pro Pot.